and I noticed that a long, long time ago. I was lucky enough to be blessed with the insight that it's not really about strengthening my strengths, it's about strengthening my weaknesses. Because once I can have a tick list of what I'm not very good at, and then take away those weaknesses, then that naturally brings up my strengths. So my training philosophy has always been to work on the things that I can't do.
Welcome to Martial Mindset, where we delve into some of the leading minds in business, martial arts, and academia to find out what truly makes success in any field of life. We are the fight coaches who will motivate and inspire you to level up your game, no matter how big or scary your goals may be.
When you're a kid, like you ask a kid, what do you want to be? They're like, I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be like, nobody says I'm going to be an accountant, right? Or I'm going to be a lawyer. There's nothing wrong with being an accountant or a lawyer, but if you didn't really follow your heart, if you didn't really follow that inner voice that says, look, this is what you should be doing with your life. Like, I'm sure that you had this challenge when you started teaching martial arts, right? People telling you, what are you doing? Are you crazy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, this is like,
why are you doing that?
You're throwing your life away, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And people who listen to the dogma of, look, do something safe, okay? Take this job, you're gonna make money and then start a family, right? But they feel so empty inside. It's like they're half dead most of the time, right? So I think it's very, very similar to people who take the same mentality of this is the way that it's always been done, and this is the way that you should do it. I love Bruce Lee's approach of test, see what's really yours. This belongs to you, right?
Well, I mean, that's what essentially a science is. I mean,
yeah.
You test and going back to, our martial art, the martial art that we're most interested in is Wing Chun. And one of the main things about Wing Chun is that it's supposed to be an art that's based on testing. It's supposed to be a scientific art. And if it's a scientific art, then you have to test. You have to come up with an idea, a hypothesis, and then you have to test that. And you can't hide behind someone saying, "Oh yes, this works on paper." It's like the old argument of someone throws a haymaker, you can beat them with a straight punch because the haymaker has to go in a circle line. If you go in a straight line, it's the most direct route. And it's very true, but it's very true on paper. I mean, you could argue it really well on paper, but one of the things that is often missed is that reaction and emotions are at play. And it's slower to react and quicker to throw a punch.
Yes.
I think the statistics are scary on that.
Yeah, definitely. And additionally, the person is moving their heads as well. So you think you're going to catch their head, but you're not, right? You're not from long distance or mid range. Maybe would work in short range, but yeah.
For you guys watching this, the reason why I'm sort of pushing this line of conversation is because it's all the issues that I'm discussing or that I've sort of highlighted are issues of mindset and thinking. I mean, and it's dogma really, and dogma is dangerous in the martial art. And one of the things I've noticed a lot, especially in our community, our martial arts community, is there's a lot of dogma and a lot of lack, an inability to be open-minded and embrace other thoughts and feelings. And I think, not feelings, that sounds too emotional, really, but thoughts, theories, and beliefs, I think, is probably a better way. Worldviews.
What would you say is would be a better mindset to go at life, for example, and in martial arts? Like one mindset that you could use both in martial arts and in life?
Adaptability. You've got to be adaptable. Because here's the thing, when you're training a martial art, there's a challenge. There's always going to be a challenge. And that challenge comes from two directions. It could be the person in front of you that's trying to hurt you. It could be you. Because, I don't know, you're tired, you don't want to train, or you're tired even. You're sparring. Let's give this a classic one.
Yeah.
You're sparring, you're tired, you're exhausted, but the guy's fitter than you and he's not giving up and he's still trying to hit you. What do? Do you give up, or do you try to push on and stay in the fight? And that's for some people, they may not understand that. But if you look at it from a perspective of everyday life, let me give you another example, which is a little bit more poignant. Training in itself. Training is a bit like a relationship. You know, when you first start doing it, you have a honeymoon period. You love it. It's great. It's fantastic. Everything can't just go wrong. You want to be there in the middle of it. And then as time goes on, you get to the day-to-day mundane aspects of it. And it's the same thing with life generally. And we're not talking about relationships. We're talking about life generally. You've got a job. You first start the job. It's a brilliant, fantastic, loving. Loving, it sounds a bit strange saying that, fantastic job. But after a while, it becomes a little bit tedious because you've got to get up at the same time. You've got to commute here in the rush hour. You know, you've got to get to work, you've got to sit at your desk, your boss.
Definitely.
And then after a period of time, doesn't matter how much money you're being paid, you're going to get pretty fed up with the mundanity of it. It's the same with martial arts. You know, you're going to get fed up with turning up to the dojo, the boxing gym, wherever you're going to train. But something inside you has to either inspire you to continue that journey, or to drive you to do that. And it's the same with life. And that's why I think the skills cross over. It's the same attitude, the same mindset that you're developing in training a martial art that you are essentially traveling, crossing over to other aspects of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you had this as well. Like when you were training, would you train with like people who are more on your level, or would you always go for the guys who are like the highest level and get as much as you could from those guys, even though if you got like beat up and you lost all the time, but you felt like so good because of the experience?
Well, I've got two answers that spring to mind, because I do actually talk about this all the time when I'm talking about training. But the first thing is I just want to point out, and this is again a martial mindset, my belief excuse me, has always been to train my weaknesses, not my strengths. And one of the things I've always noticed when I watch people, and I've been teaching now for over 30 years, so a very long time. One of the things I noticed in teaching for all those decades is that when you watch guys, they always tend to default to what they're good at. So, for example, if they're training, I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well, as you know. So I was watching this. I have a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, I've been doing it for quite a long time. I grapple as well. I've trained wrestling, judo, all sorts of martial arts, as well as Wing Chun as well. So, one of the things I would give you an example is that if a guy's really good at arm bars, then, he's just going to always go for his arm bar. And whenever he's training, because his ego has to be satisfied, he's always going to do what he's good at. And I noticed that a long, long time ago. I was lucky enough to be blessed with the insight that it's not really about strengthening my strengths. It's about strengthening my weaknesses. Because once I can have a tick list of what I'm not very good at, and then take away those weaknesses, then that naturally brings up my strengths. So my training philosophy has always been to work on the things that I can't do,